Hey you, I'm the Queen of Shade. Welcome to the interview. Don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, and hit my Cash App to support your favorite content creator. Now let's get to the interview. Mwah.
Let me tell you something. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. You're a bougie bitch and your mama is too. Said you're a bougie bitch and your mama is too.
Salutations, Stufos. This is your fabulous leader, the Queen of Shade, coming to you with another special presentation. Moving full speed ahead, excited about new horizons, and talking to beautiful people that are just out in the world, making it better, and just helping the world to grow and all of us to grow. And having said that, I have someone that you have to meet. All right, so I'm going to do a little bit of reading because I'm a little nervous, but I want to make sure I cover everything because this woman deserves it. So here we go. Latice Crawford is an American urban contemporary gospel singer, composer, and actress. She is best known for her 3-octave contralto voice range and for finishing in the top 3 in season 2 of Sunday's Best, a gospel singing competition. Miss Crawford, as we said, recording artist. She's also a woman's empowerment coach, life coach. She owns Whole Life LLC, and she has a lot of certifications. I swear there are 5 here. The first one is psychology, and then we're gonna let her tell you about the rest because I don't know what the letters mean. But that's what I love. I love that there are just so many people in this world doing amazing things. So I have a treat for you today. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to introduce you to Miss Latice Crawford.
Hey.
Hi. Hello, goddess. We were talking a little bit before we were coming on, and I'm like, I'm nervous. And no, because it's just, listen, it's just, you know, as I was saying to you, this is something I know 150 interviews in. It's kind of funny for me to say, oh, this is new to me, but this is, and I don't count it an accident when people agree to speak with me, you know? Not everybody is acquainted with my work. Not everybody's acquainted with my empowerment work that I've done on social media the last 6 years and being in the business behind the scenes 20 years. So I'm really going off of face value in the work that I have that I'm doing, currently. Literally one interview leads me to the next interview. Mm-hmm. So that's what's going on. So I just count it, it's an honor when people that are working and moving and doing say, sure, I'll talk to you. It just does something to me. So now, how are you today? You are? What are you up to? It's raining here. I'm in Philadelphia. It's raining here.
Oh, I'm in New York. I haven't seen any rain yet. We did get a lot of rain last night, but I'm here. I'm a stay-at-home mom in addition to my work. I guess that's not really stay at home, but I am a single mom. And so my son does homeschool, and so I just finished up with him with his lessons and trying to get him something to eat. And it's my real job. My real job when I'm not on the road or not life coaching or whatever else. My 11-year-old son is my real job every day.
But see, that just, okay, I got to say it. Black girls rock. Cause my God, like, come on. Like, are you, like you have this entire career, and we're going to talk about it. And then you're pouring so much into your baby, into his study, into what he knows, because we know that children these days, a lot of children are lacking that home shaping, I won't say home training, I'll say home shaping, and that hands-on attention that, many of us, even myself, I was born in 1982. Don't answer. I already know.
For me.
I know. I knew you were going to say, I said don't, because I don't want to tell your age. So, but yeah, I was born in 1982, and I didn't get that, that the 80s was when my, crack and all that stuff swept through the community, and my parents, woof. And I was raised by my grandmother. My grandmother's an educator, but I just am so proud when I hear again, Black moms. So Black moms rock, because you guys are just doing it so much and so well. In my life, I've had a lot of ups and downs, and I've been adopted by other people's mothers that helped me get to where I am. So let's just dive right into where I saw you, where you first came into my life, because you had already completed finishing in the top 3 for Sunday's Best. That was already done. How I saw you is, as a young child, there was this known singer, and she sang, "I don't care how you get here if you can," Oleta Adams. And she's been in music for a long time. She's an icon. She went into gospel, her roots, and I am flipping through, and get this, it's on YouTube. I was flipping through YouTube, and there was a tribute to her. I can't cry. We just started. I can't cry. Like, listen, I can't cry. We just started. But there you were with your bald head and your earrings singing, "Holy, holy, holy is the Lamb." And the energy coming off of you. I ain't felt nothing like that in a long time. It just was so moving. So empowering. It's that performance. Whenever I'm, working myself and, not exactly knowing which step is next on my path, but knowing that I need to take a step forward, it's kind of being built as I do it. So being a little unsure, but knowing that I need to take a step forward, I go to that video and I just listen. And whew, my goodness, that's how you came into my life. That's how I heard your voice for the first time. Wow. And it changed me. And I began listening to, like I said, other things that you had done, other projects. See, social media, the internet is an amazing thing. Because whereas artists and entertainers had publicists, we still need them today, but publicists and teams and things like that, there was still such a limited amount of access that the public was granted to said star. But now, because of the World Wide Web and social media, you have people just sharing their work, and other people picking it up and sharing it. And it just goes viral. It goes everywhere. And you can literally see this star and literally look at their entire discography. Just look at everything you've ever done. And that's what I did. As I told you, as we got started, I was listening to your latest EP, The Cure. And I loved it. Like your voice, and just when you sing with such conviction, you know what you're talking about. You can tell you've been through some things and that you're singing, because when you say, Jesus, you're my cure. God, you're my cure. Not too many people can get away with doing that. And the world actually feel it, and be, someone not, that is non-Christian, grew up in the church, but I'm non-Christian now, and I still feel the presence of God. And it's just like, oh, yes, this one is, yes, you're anointed. That's the word. You are heavily, heavily anointed. So I want to take you back. We're talking about how amazing you can sing, but I learned this from my vocal coach, and I hate when people do it to me. I don't ask nobody to sing, because when you're at a party and you meet a doctor or a dentist, you don't ask them to check your teeth, or you pull out their stethoscope at the party. You make an appointment, or you stream all of their work. So I'm telling everybody now, you want to hear this amazing woman sing, you have to stream The Cure, right? And Latice Crawford on all streaming platforms. You can even find the performances on YouTube. So there we go. So let's start off with, where were you born? And where did you grow up?
I was born in the Bronx, New York. Well, technically, I was born in Harlem Hospital, but I was, raised and I grew up for a while in the Bronx, and then I moved to Queens, and I was raised there, and went to school and everything there. New York is, it's this great place. I think it prepares you for so many things in life. It makes you tough. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Also very aware. There's so many things happening, and there's so much talent, and so many things, here. Like I said, so you have to be tough, especially if you're going to enter into, this business. So I'm thankful for my New York grounds.
I can't believe girl, I thought, yeah, like, honestly, do you have like island roots? Because a lot of people settle in New York, but they're like islanders and things like that. When I'm going off of when I first saw you, I was like, look at this island beauty to come to this country, and she done come here to steal all our money. Just give it to her. Just give it to her. Just give it to her. Just take it. Just take it back home. You know how y'all do. Just take it back home. Because my God. So okay, that's so amazing to me. And you're right, because New York is a melting pot. You have so many different backgrounds. I said this because I've interviewed a lot of New Yorkers, and we've all talked about the fact that you can literally be living in the center of a block, and next to you your neighbor can be Russian.
Yep.
And then your neighbor can be French, or your neighbor can be Spanish, Dominican, or Haitian. Like, it's just such a melting pot. And you're right, I will say this, a lot of the best artists that the world has ever heard and seen come out of New York, because I truly, like you said, it prepares you. You see all kinds of things. You see this, this, you see all different representations of people. And you're right, it prepares you to go into any facet of life.
It really does.
Yes. Are you, actually, would you share that same sentiment? I want to know.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely feel like I said, I mean, I think wherever someone is from, it somewhat helps to cultivate who they are, make them, what they are and what they do. But I will say, I think that people that come from like a place where there is a big mix, of so many different types of people, so many people from different cultures, where there's so many, different ethnic, backgrounds, and just religious backgrounds, and just so many different things. You get to experience life in a very different way. And I think for me, especially when it comes to music and just being, an entertainer, it kind of helps me to be able to fit into any crowd, and to not have to really change me, but to really figure out, when you were talking about the Oleta Adams thing, I remember when they first called me, to do that. And I was so shocked, like, me, and I was wondering which song I would sing. I wanted to sing Get There. And I was just like, oh man, that would be a dream to sing that song. And when they gave me Holy as the Lamb, I was like, what am I gonna do with that? And I mean, I'm a gospel singer, but it just was like, okay, the churchy is not necessarily what I consider to be my thing, and so I'm like, I know how to minister a song from my own experiences. And I was like, okay, but I can't just take an Oleta Adams song and be like, I'm a Latice. I gotta figure out how to still bring the essence of who she is and the beauty of what she gives and the softness and everything else. And so when I got into rehearsal, I was just like, look, I just got to do, what I do. And Daniel, he was like, Latice, we called you because we want you. I said, okay, so I'm gonna just give me. And so when I got on stage, that's what I did. We didn't really do much of a rehearsal. I just, did what I did. But I think that it was so important to put my experience into, whenever to me, a song is like a theatrical, I approach it that way, where it's like, I want people to feel this entire story. So if I'm talking about how holy the Lamb is, I want to start off gentle because the Lamb is gentle, but now I have to talk about his power and his greatness and, all of that. And I really do try to not put myself in a place where people feel church, but I want them to feel God, and so to hear you say, I'm a non-Christian, that doesn't mean that you don't feel God. God is not bound by a religion or a race or a gender or anything like that. He is just bound by our spirit and his love for us and our souls. And so to hear people say that, it definitely brings me great joy. But again, I feel like my background helps to, to help me do that. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of funny because now they call you, an urban contemporary, gospel singer. Because do you have like endeavors to, because even in your music is amazing. Do you have endeavors to go into other genres? Like, what's your favorite genre?
To be honest with you, well, if I had to say my favorite genre, I like rock and I love jazz.
Okay.
But I would say, for me, I think people need titles and boxes because it helps it make sense for them. For me, I'm just like, I just want to sing a song, and whatever you get from it, and you feel. I know being an artist, you have to have some kind of identity. But for me, it's just like I just want to sing songs that resonate to me. And if by chance those songs happen to relate to something that I went through with God, mostly anything that I do or sing is going to have something to do with God because for me, God is not really in my spiritual experience. He's in all the natural, stupid stuff that I do that I have to invite him into. You know what I mean? God, why would I do
Yes.
that again? He's in that stuff. And so I feel like anything, that I sing, it could be about love, it could be about relationship, it could be about my son, it could be about anything. And he would be in that experience for me and how I needed him there. So like I said, I really feel like it wouldn't be a matter of me switching, to another genre. It would just be about me singing what comes natural and what's pure and genuine to me, that relates to my life and my story.
Yeah. That is an artist's job. What you're saying and what I hear is the job of an artist because we reflect the times. We
Yeah.
reflect what's going on. You may not know this because I'm new to you, but I'm a singer too.
I want to
Yes,
sing.
I started in the church when I was little, like 10 years old. And I in the church, I had a really rough time. I was a young, effeminate boy. And I mean, very effeminate. I sang soprano. And, there were a lot of men in my church, a lot of women in my church that did not believe in that. I came out of Kojic. So it was, there were certain things that just were not allowed. And even as a young child, I was bullied by grownups and things like that. But I always had a voice. And even in my church experience, they tried to silence my voice. And I remember I sang, and it was so weird that I remember this, but I was 10 years old, and my mother, who did 25 years, she was still on drugs at that time. And she came to see me sing because it was this big thing that I was going to have my first solo. And my first solo was His Eye is on the Sparrow.
Mm,
And they put this young lady with me who was also a soprano, but she was more of a dramatic soprano to more of my lyric soprano. And I'll never forget, we start singing the song. I opened it, and I opened it with my lightness, and then here she came, and we were the same age. She was 10, I was 10. The girl could blow. She could blow. She could. I ain't gonna lie. So we start singing, and as she did her dramatics, I just kind of offered the quiet storm kind of thing. And I'll never forget, the choir director, the pastor, the men and women, deacons, everybody, my grandmother, everybody started crying. Everybody started crying because I closed my eyes and I started going into my own kind of like thing. And when I'm all alone, you watch. He watches, he watches. And that was the first time I had ever been validated as a singer. So imagine that, Latice. First time I had ever been validated as a singer. And then the following Sunday, they want to hear the song again. They cut me out of the solo and gave it to her. I never sang that song or ever sang solo in church again. And I bring that up because it is what you said something in the beginning. Doesn't matter your gender identity. It doesn't matter who you are. We are human. God created us all. You can feel God. So now at 39 years of age, going into 40 in September, my voice, because I didn't have a lot of strenuous use of it, has been preserved. And I sing and I sound like I did when I was 10 years old. And it's so crazy because my genre is not really classified. I had to name it myself. My producers, they always were telling me, this is not normal. People would say, oh, well, it sounds like pop. But it's not. I call it French twist. It's like avant-garde showmanship. I take my pain, everything I experienced, and I set it to a danceable beat.
Mm.
So like what I'm doing is you'll hear some of the most horrific things, but you're like, the way that I play with the melodies and things like that, you kind of like, you're moving with me until you really start to realize I'm a real lyricist. So then you're
Yeah.
like, oh my God, like I had no idea you went through this or you went through that. And it's just so funny because, the singers of today, I'm not even going to say just church, but it seems like the ones that are very successful have a very powerful spiritual connection. They
Yeah.
know who God is to them, and they know who they are to God, and
Yeah.
fulfilling that purpose, fulfilling that call in the world. And
Yeah.
that's what I love, because a lot of singers come out of the church. They come out of the church. Beyonce out
Yeah.
of the church. Whitney
Yeah.
Houston out of the church.
Yeah.
But they learn to cross. It's not even a crossover. It's just that they learn to be able to sing in a way that relates to what people are going through.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And that's what I heard from you. And sorry for the long story, but
Yeah.
it just reminded me, because it just was like, you've got to be, and there's a gospel song, Lord, it's an old one, Lord, I want to be effective, in my living for you. So like, those things are, you hear that. And then it's not, what I'm saying is that it's nice to hear people say, I grew up in a melting pot and I just want to sing music. I just want to put my voice out there. And not only to be singing that, but to be doing that.
Yeah.
I listen to your music today, and that's why I'm staying around the music, because and shout out to your team, because they are phenomenal. When I tell you they are phenomenal, since I made the inquiry, they have been corresponding back and forth with me
Yeah.
about getting this to happen. And they went and they looked, and they're like, you got 150 interviews you've done. Like they have really walked me through getting to the final step, which was your appearance. And I just want to say shout out to them, because they love you. They
Yeah.
yes, they love you. And they're making sure that whatever you do well, and that you are represented in the light that you deserve. And I just want to say hats off to
Something
them.
looking.
Yeah, go Team Latice. And that's what's so funny, because when it comes up in the email, it says Team Latice. Like that's what it is. And they really are so good. And I just, like I said, I came to give you your flowers. I came to tell you you're making a difference. I came to tell you that you're inspiring. And I came to tell you continue. I came to tell you that no matter what is going on, you have it, and let no one tell you differently. Do the music you want to do, and do not listen to anyone telling you otherwise. So, growing up in Brooklyn and Queens and things like that, are you an only child?
No, I have two other sisters. So I have an older sister who's about 2 years older than me, and then I have a younger sister who's 3 years younger than me. So yeah, we had a lot of cousins. So we had a lot of fun.
I was going to say that's a lot, yeah, because when you said that, I'm like, okay, a house full of girls, I bet you all can sing.
Yeah. Yeah, actually we do. My mom's entire side of the family sings. A lot of my father's side of the family, my father couldn't sing, but a lot of my father's side of the family sing. My mother's mom was an opera singer. And so all of her kids sang, play an instrument. My mom was like, really, really known for her soprano voice. So yeah, like growing up, in the house, there was always singing, there was always music. We didn't listen to a lot of music, surprisingly. Like we didn't, do a lot of radio and different things like that. But singing was always something we did. Every family function, we could just be meeting for somebody's birthday party and we're singing something, while somebody's cooking or, doing something, a funeral, we'd all gather, later and start singing. And it could be any kind of song, but yeah, very, very musical family. My grandmother, she didn't play about that. You was gonna be on the children's choir. You was gonna sing,
Yes.
whether you wanted to or not. You was gonna do something. So you played an instrument, or you sang, or you did both.
Yeah.
So I come from a very, very musically inclined family. Yeah.
Wow. Did you in your growing, did you attend like a performing arts school, or did you just attend regular school and then
Just regular school? You know what's weird? Because I grew up around so much music,
it
and
was
on the church scene, I didn't really know that singing wasn't something everybody could do. I grew up in a church and in churches where, like I said, if you sang as a congregation, it sounded good. So it wasn't until I think I got to about junior high school, I was started out in dance and didn't make it there, two left feet. Started out in that, and I wanted to do that so bad just because it felt like rebellion from church. So I was like, I'm a dance. And it was like, you know what? I'm gonna dance. The Lord was like, child, sit down somewhere by, so you trip over your own feet. And so that wasn't working out. And so one day I was sitting in the auditorium, just minding my business, and the chorus teacher, they had just gotten a new black, chorus teacher. His name was Mr. Curtis. And he walks up to me and he goes, I want you to be in chorus. And I'm like, me? I'm good. Cause it's like I went to church Monday through Sunday. I don't want to do nothing else. Like, and I know you Black, so I know we're about to sing some church songs. I don't want to do nothing else that has anything to do with church. Like, I didn't come here for that. This is school. Yeah. And he was like, you can be in chorus. And he went and talked to the principal, and they changed me out of dance, put me in chorus against my will. Put me in chorus. And I remember we were rehearsing. It was for Christmas. A Christmas show was coming up, and he had taken Go Tell It on the Mountain and made it even more Black than what it was when it first started. And so it was like, go tell it on the mountain. Oh, but like it was this whole thing, right? And so we're singing it, and it's a girl sitting next to me, and I'm just like, something ain't right. Like, can't everybody do this? Something not right. So I look over at her and I'm like, girl, what are you singing? The note is go tell it. And I'm trying to tell her note. And I see the teacher looking at me, and he says, Miss Crawford, come here for a second. So I'm like, okay. So I go with him, and he's like, do you know this song? And I'm like, what song? He said, do you know Amazing Grace? And I'm like, yeah. He said, can you just sing it for me? So he starts playing, and I start singing. I close my eyes. Yeah. And when I opened them up, I didn't realize he had pressed the intercom thing. So everybody was here. When I opened my eyes, everybody's standing at the door, the people from band, and everybody's just like, what in the world? And it kind of started from there, where it was like, oh, this is actually something that's special. People actually, like this stuff. This is not just something that, I do with my family that's fun. This is actually a real gift. This is a real talent. But I don't think before then I actually realized that it was something special, and it was something that God had given to me, that it was like, oh, wow, and that not everybody could do it. And so it started there. And then from there was the talent shows in school and, any kind of thing they could put me in. But I never really had a desire to sing. Singing, again, was something that was sacred for us. It was something that we did to get over things and to deal with problems and to heal. And, we grew up at that time where you didn't really talk about problems. You didn't talk about drama. You prayed, you sang, and you went your merry way. And if it didn't work out, that's okay. So being able to do that and seeing how people, I'd sing at some of the shows and stuff for the school. Like I said, junior high school, I'm somewhere between 11 and 13 or, 14, and seeing how the parents would come and they'd be in tears, and just like, wow, you just really ministered to me, or I was getting ready to do this to myself, or I was going to hurt myself, and this helped me. And I'm like, I'm going to go to church today. And it's like from something I said or something I did or something I sang. So I knew that I couldn't just use my gift in any kind of way. I knew that if I was going to use it, it would have to have purpose. It would have to, and I think that was the some of the conviction for me, where it was like, okay, do I go and take this to do something bigger, or do I just keep it, here? It was something I struggled with to really decide, between the way I wanted to move about it. And so, yeah, like I said, I just kept singing in junior high school, but that's where it started. High school, I didn't really sing much at all. And then not really, I did high school for maybe like 2 years, and I did homeschool. So I was home, but still was singing in church, but no, never had any formal training or anything like that. It just was something, that I guess I was born with. Yeah, my mom said I probably was singing, I was singing and crying when I came out.
Yeah, no, I can definitely attest to that, like, and concur, because Gladys Knight, like all these, Tina Turner, no formal training. What was that? Like, what? Oh, they got up there and like that's part of the magic and the mistake to being a really, really good singer, is that you don't really, it's not something that you think you can make a career out of, make money off of, like, because of that rejection, I never thought I was singing. It wasn't until college myself where I became one of the youngest directors of the gospel choir in school, in college, and that had never happened at home. And then it was like, then keynote speaker, because it was like, okay, this person can sing and give a word. So it was like, oh, okay. And I remember 9/11, when 9/11 happened, because that's when I was in college, like the town came to our auditorium and they just wanted, soulless and things like that. And I got up and I never forget it. All I said was, how many people know that God is still on the throne and we're going to get through this?
Yeah, come on.
That was it. Like, it wasn't, yeah, right. It wasn't even like, I didn't even, like, I just got up there and said what I felt. And you know what? You're so right, because even in that, I have made a career. I've been in entertainment 20 years. God,
Wow.
I started as a fashion model, got the opportunity to go to Paris and model for 6 months when I was 22. Like, I've been around. And I kind of stepped back from mainstream entertainment because I had an issue with someone else owning my masters,
Yep.
my content, and things like that. And I was going to sign to a major label in New York City. They set me up. I had never had, like you said, I had never had a formal vocal lesson. Even when I was sent to a vocal lesson by the A&R, my A&R, I can't say his name, Michael Taylor. He didn't want me to go to actually have any work done on my voice, but more so for confidence, more so for stage presence. And that's what we worked on. And then I was the same way. Like, after school happened and I had some mental illness issues, and, I had to be medically withdrawn from school. I didn't know what I was going to do. I went from biology, pre-veterinary med, to nothing, and hospitalizations and, struggle. And then it was like, what am I going to do? And that's something that God has always done to me. I like, even now, prophet, oracle, shaman, seer, healer through words is something that I do and I am. So I remember sitting on at the edge of my hospital bed, crying because my life had just imploded and exploded. And I said, what am I going to do? And God said to me, and I call God the divine said to me, you're going to use what I gave you.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and then that's when I started to and it was like you said, I didn't know that you could make a living doing these things. I didn't know that there was actually a music business, because you're right. In church, everybody sang and we sang together, I saw a couple of people in my church, get opportunities, go on plays and things like that. But then they would return home, basically.
Yep.
Sing,
Yep.
It wasn't like we see a lot of artists now, but, they go off and they branch off and they go far. It wasn't like that, but I can definitely concur that I didn't know that you could make money. I'm like, what, you can make money? Like, what? You can make money now? But get it, Latice, I'm bad now, because now I'm like, they're like, sing something. I'm like, where the money at?
All right.
I'm the other way now.
I don't work for free.
Yes, I'm the other way now. I'm like, I don't work for free. Like, where the money? Like, no. Like,
It's important to say that, because I think, like I said to somebody the other day, I said, if your gift was baking, right? Like, say you never went to school for baking, that gift still comes from God. It's something that you do. But if you were selling cookies outside, nobody would look at you like, give them for free, because it's for the Lord. So why is it that music is? Music is something that that He's given me. Yes, it's a gift, but you buy gifts, you pay for gifts. You know what I mean? And so I've had to pay a heavy price to carry this gift. I've had to pay a heavy price to write these songs that I've written, to write them about my experiences, to help you get through. So therefore, somebody said to me the other day, your reward is in heaven. I said, if Jesus, the baby with the untouched mother, can die to pay the price for my sin, certainly you can pay the price here on earth. Okay, that reward is in heaven for him. Not ain't got nothing to do with you. Give my money. Stop playing with me.
You know what's so crazy, Latice? Your team told me you were a hoot. They said, oh, honey, y'all gonna cut out.
I say it like I feel it. I'm just saying.
Right. They said you was gonna cut up. But no, you're absolutely right. You're not saying anything wrong. And I think that's where so many people falter, because they don't understand the business side of this business, because they have the idea that they feel some kind of way or weird about asking to be paid.
Yeah.
I've heard, get this, my church was jumping. My assistant pastor who became my pastor, her name is Maria Gardner Langston. She is a evangelist and she's known worldwide. The funny thing is I'm not in church. Like I said, I'm not in church, nothing. We still keep in touch.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, an anointing is an anointing, and when she sees one, she sees one. So
That's right.
she keeps in touch with me. So she knew everybody. We regularly had the Clark sisters coming to my church, Vicki Winans coming to my church, Daryl Coley coming to my church, Hezekiah Walker coming to my church. She knew all of these great singers, and you know, it was very like to watch them. Vicki Winans was one of those ones where she talked about her long, hard struggle because they didn't feel she deserved to be paid. She told that testimony a lot and how long it took her to get the house of her dreams. And she was already singing for 30 years.
Wow.
And I'm so glad that we're even having this conversation, because this goes for the church world, this goes for the secular world, this goes for everybody out here. Like you said, you don't have to have formal training. If you are given a gift, if you have a gift, you deserve to make, or be compensated for that gift. I'm a firm believer because that's what I did. I didn't know what I was going to do. My home life was bad. My family imploded. Mental illness. Then I was homeless because of my sexual orientation. They threw me out and I'm on the streets, and literally homeless in America got a place to stay in Paris. It was weird. But all of that angst got me to a place where I realized, oh no, honey, you're gonna pay me for this. Like I had music because I knew people. I still know people. So music executives, they would say things to me like, oh, you're starting off on the right foot. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? And they're like, well, because you came out with your music and you're immediately charging. You didn't give it away for free and say, hey, I'm an up and coming artist. Will you take a listen to my music? I said, no, I would have never done that. And they asked me, like, what's the difference? I said, I know my worth.
That's right.
And it took me a long time to be comfortable with asking, even as a social media influencer, because I do that a lot too. So, I hear people saying things because they're upset that I do videos, and I'm like, TikTok is the new thing now. So I've conquered Instagram, and I was exclusively on Instagram because that's where I went viral 6 years ago with my 60-second empowerment videos. They're very kicking the, empowerment videos. I was gonna say ass. They're very, but I know to whom I speak. So yes, but then now I'm on TikTok and I'm starting to make my way into their algorithm, but it's like, sweetie, even in my promo videos, I'm like, you can cash at me, and I've seen people kind of mock me. But the thing about it was, they don't know the inside of the industry. When I was approached by someone to secure a slot for my mentoring business on Good Morning America, and Good Morning America had nothing to do with this. This was another company talking about, oh, we can get you there. They wanted $18,000 from me.
Yeah.
So where was I supposed to get the money?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. People don't understand the investment that we have to put into doing this. It's just like anything else. If you want to be a doctor and you got to go to school and you got to take out loans, we spend tens of thousands of dollars to record this music. Like I said, and then the life that we have to live outside of that, just for me to write one song, for you to get over. I remember when my parents passed and someone said, this is going to be the best songs of your life. And I said, no, y'all not getting these songs. Like, y'all not getting those. Like, everything, you know what I mean? But this is the price that we pay to uplift and to deliver and to heal and to help other people conquer this stuff. And so, it's a big, huge sacrifice. I used to miss birthday parties for my son and stuff with my friends and just never had time. It's a big sacrifice. And the thing about it is, I told someone at the church, I said, if I'm here or at somebody's church, or somebody's event every day of the week because you want me to be here, when would I have time to get a regular job? This is my job. You know what I mean? So something that works for me, I stopped asking people to give me anything. When someone reaches out to me and says, hey, I want to have you do this, I send them a one sheet.
Yes.
There's the one sheet, and it tells you everything you need to know. And if I hear back from you, I know you're serious. And if I don't, it's no love lost. But say on my price. You know, I never forget. I was looking for a dress for an award show, and I
Mhm.
went into a store and I went to try it on and I was like, oh man, this dress is bad. I went and looked at the price tag and I was like, all right, I could get it, but if I get it, I might have to, you know, move some stuff from my savings to my checkings. You know what I mean? I moved some stuff
Right,
around. I got to figure this
right,
out. And so
right.
I went to the counter and I asked the lady, I said, do you have like I wasn't gonna dare say pay, you know, layaway. I said, you gotta pay as you go. And
Yeah.
she said, no, we don't have that here. And I was like, this dress is so expensive. Y'all need to have it. And she said, ma'am, our target clientele does not need a payment plan. And I was like, well, shoot, I'm target clientele. I just don't want to spend this money because I can only wear this dress one time. And I'm gonna leave the tag and I'm gonna bring it back. That's how I was feeling. I was in my feelings. I was mad. But as I walked out of the store, I said, you know what? When the person made this dress, they weren't thinking about me. They weren't thinking about if I could afford it or not because they knew that somebody else could. And if that person really wanted it, they would pay the price and they would not ask because they knew the worth of what they was creating. So I had a choice. I could buy it or I could leave it on the rack and get my money up. And so that's where I'm at with other people now. And I'm like, no, I understand and I know what I need and what my value is. And if you can't pay that price, leave me on the rack. I don't feel bad because my target clientele is going to come and they're going to pay. So I'm not changing my price because that says to me that I don't trust the worth that God has put in me. If I'm going to keep lowering it, that means I don't trust all of the worth and significance that he's given me. Like I'm enough and you're going to pay the price for my enoughness or miss. That's it. And it's okay if you do, if you know, if I'm not. But what I see people do is they would ask me pay less for me, but when they would get the budget, they would go and get somebody else. So that means you didn't want me anyway. You wanted the cheapest, you know, person that could come to the table, and I'm not that person anymore. And I
Yeah.
think that, you know, not just as a body of Christ, but as people, we have to understand that we have to stop discounting people's worth because we can't afford them.
Yeah.
Leave them there. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? If you can't afford them, to wait till you have enough to do it. But don't discount me. Don't discount my gift. Don't discount my message or what God has given me because you don't have the money. Now, again, you know, there are times people will be honest and say, we don't really have that. And I don't mind to come, you know, and do it for the people that's honest. But there's plenty of times I go places where I'm like, I know y'all got a budget. I
Yeah.
know you do. And I know that you're getting paid for what you're doing.
Yeah.
So why wouldn't you not, you know, pay me? You know, so I don't believe, I think that people are ministered to absolutely because of what I have to say. But what I've been able to do with the money that I get from what I do, I've been able to pay a lot of people's rent. I've been able to get a lot of people groceries. So the money you pay me, it ministers more sometimes than just the words that I'm saying. So I think that it's important for us to remember that too. And like I said, just like any other job, if you want me to pay my tithes, pay me my check and I'll give you your 10%. You know what I mean? But you don't get that if I don't get my 90.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying not to cry.
We're gonna take up an offering for that.
Right? But this is the thing. Too many people, they don't know how to be left on the rack.
That's what it is.
And
Because
and
people accept it.
and
Mhm.
hold up, like because what you are saying, Latice, is what I did with my whole career.
Yeah.
My whole career. Gay men in the entertainment industry have very few jobs. We're your
Mm.
gay best friend on a reality TV show.
Mm.
We're your hairstylist, your makeup artist, or your fashion stylist. That's
Mm.
it. They don't allow A-list gay celebrity. That's not happening in this country, at least not yet. I love that I'm seeing Billy Porter come out. I'm loving that I see the cast of Pose coming out. But let's face it, y'all paid them to do the show. Where's the residual? Where's the next role? Where's the press that you know A-listers get? And all the endorsements and all in the Lincoln on the commercial and you know being bankrolled the way we bankroll our NFL players or our actresses. Like people do not understand what you just said. And I can't even say their name, but I was gonna sign with a really big label. And they told me that I was a fool, that I would never make it alone, that
Wow.
I would never be anything, and that I would die with my talent and go to the same place that most talent goes, which is the grounds of the graveyard, because I
Wow.
because I didn't understand how to play the game.
Wow. Wow.
And it was very difficult for me because I had been medically withdrawn from school. I live with bipolar 1, I live with PTSD, and I live with acute anxiety. So you know this being in psychology. I have had therapy and take medicine for the last 15 consecutive years of my life. That's why I can sit here doing this, because the good Lord helped me get here. But I found that people wanted me to just throw my stuff away. Oh, you'll never make it. And this is the thing I would always say to my audience, baby, you don't have to have all these numbers. You don't have to have hundreds of thousands of followers. Like, okay, everybody say you got 122,000 followers, because that's what I have on Instagram. They all give you $122,000 before taxes. But say you stick to your guns and you meet people of like minds and they're millionaires. Say you got 10 millionaires and they give you $1 million each. You just made way more than you would have ever made with your own following.
That's
And
right.
there was a point that I even had to tell my following. Latice, I gave my following 6 years for free. I didn't make a dime. I charged for my music and all the extra stuff, but I literally gave them the messages that were being pushed and forced through me divinely for 6 years. But you know, I own them, number one. Number two, I always asked the divine, I said, I'm scared that I'm going to run out of things to say. That was year 2. I said, I'm scared that I'm going to run out of things to say. And the divine said to me, aren't you tapped into an infinite source? I said, yes. He said, isn't that source me? I said, yes, God, it is. He said, then you will always have an infinite amount of things that you can say. You can talk about love a million different ways.
Sure can.
You can talk about peace. You can talk about joy. You can talk about anything you want a million different ways. And year 2 was when I realized I would never run out of things to say. So it didn't hurt me. And it honestly, it's paying me on the back end, because when I decided to do this is for my YouTube, my website, that's a monetized platform. So many people are being so gracious and doing this with me because of my reputation. They done seen that work. They go back and listen to them messages and say, what and how did you know? And, you know, on time. And I'm gonna tell you, even in this, people have been gracious enough to say yes, but I'm fair. This is a collaboration. So when everybody leaves this camera with me, I send everybody a copy of this. Do what you will with it, because we created it together. Make your money. That's how I do this. But people just, they think we should work for free. And I'm so glad that you just put the kibosh on all of that, because now my new saying is going to be from Latice Crawford, leave me on the rack. I need a song, leave me on the rack. Like, I need that, because that so many, like you just spoke to so many of my following, of, you know, so many people that I know, because they have a hard time speaking up for themselves. They're being told that you're selfish, you're self-centered, you're egotistical. And it's like, no, I'm not. I'm demanding to be paid so that I can pay my light bill.
Okay.
Yeah, so that I can buy food.
Yeah.
You know?
And something that I really had to even tell myself was, if I want to be a prize, I have to stop being a gift. A gift you give for free. A gift you can give even because somebody hasn't worked hard enough for it. But a prize, you have to work for that. You got to play the game. You got to win. You got to win me. So when it comes to anything, you know, not just, you know, in my you know, work life or whatever, but just in everything, you know, you got to do some work. You know what I mean? To get my time, get my attention. And so I think, like I said, all of us, we have to think like that. Like, no matter, you know, what it is or what we do, no matter what our professions are, whatever else, like you said, if you don't take time to build up your own worth, or time to really understand what you have and what's inside of your vessel, you're gonna always shortchange yourself. You know, and it's not even so much about, even for me, like a specific number.
Yep.
It's just about a person understanding that they cannot take advantage. So it could be, even like, okay, but what gift do you have and what gift do I have? And how do we, make 1 + 1 = 2?
Yep.
It doesn't always have to be about money. It doesn't, but it has to be about people appreciating and respecting and honoring what you bring to the table. And somebody asked me, they said, well, what do you bring to the table? I said, honey, I'm the house. I'm the house the table sits inside of. Like, I ain't know what to bring to the table. Y'all looking for bread and biscuits and chairs. I am the whole house that the table sits inside of. Okay? Ain't nothing gonna happen without me. But that's, like I said, it's not about how much coin can you give me. It's just understanding what my worth is. Like, I am a seed planter. I am soil. I am all of these things that you need at your, you know what I mean? At your table. You need that. So, and again, like you said, it's not to, pop my collar. I know that makes me sound old, but it's not that. It's just, like I said, for too long, we walk around with our heads low. We walk around calling it being humble, but it's a lack of confidence. It's
Yeah.
trauma. It's us walking around because church or someone
Yeah.
else, not God, but
Yeah.
church or someone else has told us, you
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
That we have to be this thing. But if our God says, I am that I am, and I belong to I am that I am, well, then I'm something too. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? And that, like I said, just that bring it, the thinking, if we serve God, we have to think of ourselves
Yeah.
here. Like,
Yeah.
no, we're royalty. We're amazing. We're great. And the gifts that He has given us are not small little things. These are amazing things that not everybody can do. And so we have to treat them like they're special. We have to, and treat each other like we're special, because every human being is unique in its own way. We're all, like you said, we're all human. We're all trying to figure it out. We're all trying to just live this life, but we have to start treating each other with more respect and more love, and just reminding each other that we're enough. Like, we need each other to be able to do that and survive. And so I just think, like I said, that we've come to a place where we just diminish people in order to uplift ourselves. You know what I mean? Let me just put this on the charger real quick. My phone's gonna die. You know what I mean? We need to do better, in how we treat people and how we treat their gifts, and how we continue to, put confidence to the enoughness, especially now with me, being in the mental health field. Like I said, those things are so important, to uplift and empower people, and to not have to, make them feel low in order to make myself feel high or make myself feel better. So, like I said, it's in every part of my life now, where I'm implementing those things. And I think once you start implementing them in your regular, personal, everyday life, where you look in the mirror and you can speak good things over yourself, and you can remind yourself, then it's almost like it becomes a default that you command it from other people too. Because if you know it, you'll make other people, and if they don't know, they'll find out. You know what I mean? So, like I said, it's more confidence. I think that's what I mean when I say, pay me. You know what I mean? Respect me is what I'm saying. Give me the honor and the credit that's due for what I'm bringing to the table. Because at the end of the day, if I'm bringing a crowd to your, to wherever it is, or if I'm doing something and you're getting a benefit out of it,
Yeah.
give me my due,
Yeah. And you know what's so crazy? You talk about the sacrifices. And of August the 9th of 2022, I will have been celibate for 10 years.
Come on.
Like, people do not understand. I did that because, the sexual energy is a very powerful energy. And there's a term, a lot of health professionals know it. It's called transmutation. When you take the energy, very powerful energy, and from one part of your life, and you focus it into another part of your life to get something done. That's what I did. I focused that energy, and, like you said, sacrificed so that I could really build this brand the way that it needed to be done. And, you're so right. Like, people do not understand, like, even my grandmother, the reason why I sit here is because even with me in my family, choosing to be me in a family that is devoutly Christian, and being casted out and being homeless for years and moving around, and, while having mental illness that was untreated, unchecked at that time, my grandmother stepped back into my life, and my Christian grandmother bestowed on me her retirement fund. Six
Wow.
figures, so
Wow.
that I could sit here and allocate those funds to do my music, buy my wardrobe, do everything, the equipment, the lights, everything. And my family to this day has attempted to punish my grandmother with their lack of empathy and their lack of presence around her. Oh, well, you chose BJ. because my name is Bjorn. Oh, you chose BJ, so you got BJ. And they choose not to come around, and they choose not to assist their mother. And like I said, I turned 40 in September. We're both Libras. She turned 75 in October.
Wow.
And her and I are the closest in the family. And I said to her the other day, because we have very deep lessons. And she said to me, she said, sometimes, baby, God will put you with who you need to be with and remove everybody else.
You don't always get what you want, but you definitely get who you need.
Yes. And, my family, I had something traumatic happen about a month ago. My brother, he's schizophrenic. He tried to murder me and my grandmother. That was very painful and devastating. And I had to get a 3-year restraining order. And, but in the midst of his psychosis being what it was, there was a jealousy that I was able to get help for 15 years, that I wasn't in the same boat as he was. And it was so weird, because it was like we brought him to live with us for a year so that he could begin that process. He chose not to begin that process. He chose to sit and sulk for a year, unmedicated, untreated, and make our lives a living, you know what. So, and that's what people need to understand, because what the underlying message has become here is that you need to have confidence in the God you serve, whoever it is. Confidence, and you need to have confidence in yourself. You need to believe, and not just believe, but stick to your guns.
That's right.
I refuse. Listen, I have mentees, because I offer a mentoring service where, I give and I talk about all of these things, and I'm $250 an hour. And and get it, I got mentees, they pay it.
Come on.
And get it. In the beginning, I was $50. And I'm like, okay, this is good. I'm making money finally after 6 years, no money, but I can't pay everything I need to pay.
Yeah.
I need to up my price. And then it was my grandmother that was like, well, what do you offer? She sat down, because, educator, master's degrees. So she's like, well, if this is what you offer, this is that and the other, how much time do you spend putting it together?
Yeah.
And I'm like, we live in the same townhouse. She won't see me sometimes for days. We're split leveled. I'm always working. I have this saying, and I've seen it be a meme, that I work 100 hours a week so I don't have to work 40 for someone else.
Right.
Yeah, that is no exaggeration. Like, that is no exaggeration.
A 9 to 5 to work a 24/7.
Right. Right. Like, I do that. Like, I give so much. And yes, it is true that we love to do what we're doing, but we need to be compensated. We need to be, blessed for doing what we're doing. And it was my grandmother that got me to the point where she was like, baby, you need to charge more. Yeah. And then what, and there were some, and I'm not going to go there, but a lot of my clientele, I'm going to say, like you said, they don't need a pay or a layaway plan. They can afford. Some of my mentees are doctors, lawyers, all because, like you said, it makes me teary-eyed, but they respect what they see in me.
Yeah, absolutely.
They respect who I am and what I have to say, because my whole business is built on not having the right answer, but listening to the person and just offering a different perspective.
That's right.
That's even when I sing, just a different perspective. You're looking at it this way. You believe it's this. And if I just come and I told my grandmother the other night, I said, we should have been lawyers. She said, why? I said, because literally when a person comes to me and they're so set on it, it is my job to invoke reasonable doubt.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's literally what I do. I say to you, well, you could do it this way. Reasonable doubt, you have to acquit. If there's reasonable doubt, you got to let it go. You have to. And that is my whole life. That is exactly what I do with every video, with every single thing. It's just walking into a room or walking into a situation with a person and listening to them. I got to hear what it is. And that's another thing. See, people confuse humility or confuse confidence with being egotistical. No, you can't have an ego. I know who I am. I know what I've built. I know what I've done. I know my music is international, but when I'm speaking to people, I genuinely am there to help.
That's right.
I'm genuinely there to help, because if I help you, it helps me. Because what are you going to do for my business? Offer a testimonial and tell the God's honest truth about how I helped you. And that is going to pay me later. See, and that's another thing about people. You got to understand that back end. You got to put in all this work, and they don't understand that either. Because I used to have people all the time, well, if you can do this and that, well, you don't have it right now. And I'm like, honey, because you're looking at this. You're not looking at the back end. And it took me some time to get used to that back end, because I'm like, God, you're compiling. I said, okay, Lord, I need a loan. I need a loan. I need to be able to draw. You know, you got your own business. I need member to draw. I need to draw.
That's
Like,
right.
you know,
That's right.
but yes, like that is so important. Like self-worth.
Yeah.
With that, I know I done had you long enough. So my thing is, I wanted to stay. We went where we needed to go, because I truly believe that everybody watching this is going to go, I need to check my worth. I need to check my confidence. I need to check my price. So we've done what we needed to do. Very briefly, explain to me just your I don't want to say ritual, but your process to writing a song. Just that, because your music is what drew me, and we had a great conversation, and we're still talking even now about music and charging for it. But just what's your process look like when you go to write a song?
You know, I don't really have any specific process. I listen to a lot of white noise, which always speaks to me. Rain sounds or just hearing noises around the house. I hear music in it, you know, so rain can just, you know, be doing a pitter and a pat, but I hear something in that. A lot of times it just stems from conversations. You know, specifically you mentioned about The Cure. It was me talking, you know, with a guy that I was seeing at the time. And, you know, we were just talking about life and just about, you know, what we wanted and how we wanted something different. Like we were both searching for something, but wasn't really finding it. You know what I mean? Whether it was in people or things or whatever. And it just, you know, got to this thing, you know, been popping pills far too long, been trying all these little things that are not working. You know what I mean? Not talking about Tylenol, I'm talking about all the temporary fixes that I use sometimes because I don't trust you to fix it. All this medicine still broken, got me tripping. But I write songs, like I said, almost as if I'm talking, because I want it to feel conversational. I want, when you're listening to it, like even with the song, the reason why I structured it kind of the way that I did was because I wanted it to sound like a person sitting in a room by themselves.
Yes.
Having a conversation with themselves, asking themselves these questions, but talking, you know, whenever we talk, we're talking to, you know what I mean, God and to the space that's around us. And so I wanted to make sure that I was putting it out there and saying all these things that were going through my mind and what was happening, but then coming to a realization of, you know what, the one thing I'm not trying is the thing that's been constant, the thing that's been there. I'm not trying the cure. I'm trying the pills. I'm trying all this other stuff, but I'm not trying the cure. And so that's most of the time what, you know, my songs are about. Like I said, a conversation that I had or just some real life experience that I don't feel like is being talked about. You know, a lot of times when I was going to church, I always would say, they're not talking about my stuff. You know, they're not talking about this real life stuff. They're telling me, you know, about how to be healed and how to be this and be that, but it's like sickness. I'm not sick. You know, but I may be sick in my heart. I may be sick in my mind. I may be sick. And I feel like, you know, I'm not saying all churches, but just the churches and stuff I grew up in, they didn't really deal with mental and emotional health. You know, everything was more about spiritual. But a lot of times I was like, well, how do you get there when you can't think straight? How do you get there when you wake up and feel like you may want to kill yourself today? How do you get there when your heart is broken and you're like, I want, like, Jesus, thank you for your love, but I need the love of a person too. How do you get to that place? You know, and so I try to mix a lot of the natural, like I said, with the spiritual and just like comparing it to the natural things in my life, like I said, that I needed a spiritual experience in. And so that's usually my process. You know, I try to be a bridge for the believer and non-believer, you know, so that, you know, we can all see, like, we all have the same pills, but what cure are we using? Because I would hope that they would come to mind.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that is beautiful, because even in my work, I'm very adamant and very vocal about not having a religion, but I tell everyone, you must have a direct connection to the divine, to God, because that's one thing I never rejected. God never hurt me. God
That's right.
never hurt me. And I'm saying that for the record. God never hurt me. Never
Yeah.
did. It was people, places, and things, nouns, and the verbs that they did, you know.
Yeah.
God wasn't nowhere in there. And in a lot of my life, I found myself dealing with things that people had set in motion. And then I would go to God and he would help me get out of it. That was usually what happened
Yeah.
in my life. You know, and it's sad. All of my siblings, I have 3 siblings. They all have mental illness, and some are worse than others. And it's unfortunate, but I tell them, you need a direct connection to the divine, because the same way he helped me, it's the same way he
Yeah.
can help you, because there's no way that anyone could deny that me sitting here, that you don't feel God, that you
Yeah.
feel that presence
Yeah.
with me, that
Even if you don't know what it is yet.
right?
Mm-hmm.
That
Yeah.
wholeness. And you know, it's so funny too, because I even do like a podcast, because sometimes I want to remove this. You know,
Yeah.
sometimes I don't want them looking at this. It's beautiful. Yes, I was in fashion. Yes. But sometimes I just want them to hold on to what I'm saying. And,
Yeah.
and they do that. And it's so funny, because it doesn't matter. Even when I'm like this, they always say that voice, that voice, that voice, because you can hear. You can hear that God is in everything that I do. I love helping people. I love seeing people be the best, but I'm not going to do it for free.
I know that's right.
For free.
I'll say this, and then I got to get my son something to eat,
Yes,
because he's sitting
yes,
here
you
waiting
do.
patiently, like,
Yes,
Mom, I'm hungry.
yes, yes.
I will say this, that I think, a lot of people, especially when it comes to church, I think that we have absolutely done things wrong for a while. You know what I mean? In learning how to deal with people who are not the traditional, portrait of what we feel church and God is, represents. But I definitely will say that I think that we're getting to a place now where, because of some of those older people and older things, they're passing away and going on, and now younger people who are taking the time, to really understand certain things. I think that we're getting to a place where we do understand, but I always say to people, in every other aspect of life, we've probably been hurt. We'll go back to that boyfriend or that girlfriend 50 million times before we get it. We'll go back to a job where we may not be treated right because we need the money.
Yep.
When you're going to the house of the Lord, understand what you're going there for, and it's not for people. And so, I understand when we want to walk away from it, when we want to leave it because we're hurt. But if I'm gonna go to my job, you're not going to ever stop me from getting to God. You know what I'm saying? And you're not going, the same way you're not going to stop me from getting to my money. And so I just want people to be mindful of that. Don't give up on something because you're leaning on the wrong thing. We're going there for God. And it's not to say God can't be in your house or God can't be somewhere else, but there is a different experience when you go and you fellowship with people. And I get it, it's not for everybody, but like you said, having a connection to God, but also going to therapy. God is not intimidated by our need for help. He gave them the knowledge that they have for them to get help. And so as a life coach, as a mental health and emotional health professional, I'm trying to encourage people to understand, like, God, trust me, God is not sitting up there like, they ain't trust me. No, this gives God the ability to go focus on the real things that need real miracles. You do not have to sit there all day long and pray for God to heal you.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
You literally can go to therapy and it can do it. And you can still pray and ask God to help you in that process. But get up and go do something about it, because the enemy wants for you to sit there and believe that God's not doing it for you. He wants you to sit there and say, well, why am I still dealing with this? Why is God not removing it? Because you won't go and get help. Go and get help. So I'm gonna go get my child something to eat. But I wanted to say that to
Thank you so much. I will put all of your social handles, as I asked everybody, where can we find you online? I will put all of your social handles down below this video. Ladies and gentlemen, you have heard the vocal stylings of Latice Crawford. Hold on one second. So did you enjoy? I hope you did. Please like, comment, subscribe, share, and don't forget to cash at me at the Queen of Shade. I am your favorite content creator, right? Right. You want to see more of this content, right? Right. Cash at me. I love you. Mwah.
I've got my black stilettos on. Don't you make me take them off. I'm assuming first position. Gonna show you I'm a boss. I've been given 60 on.